three individuals standing out there in this quarry. Now, the quarry, mind you, is kind of a concrete gray basalt.
Okay.
So these dark figures, these really black figures, really made for a very good contrast between what they were standing in front of. And I hardly got the thought out of my head, what the hell are those people doing down there, when it just dawned on me as the closer I looked, it's like, those are not people.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Pieces. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Hey, I hope you guys are doing great, and thank you so much for tuning in, checking these out. We hope you're getting subscribed and ring the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Today's episode is a great one. This is an interview that we did with Todd Neiss of the American Primate Conservancy, and Todd was a lot of fun to talk to. Had a really cool encounter, which is what you're going to hear as you listen to the episode of The Pieces. And hopefully you love it, and go and check out the full video over on the Paranormal Portal channel. So, all right, check it out.
It's kind of etched in my memory, if you will. I should probably preface this by saying that although I've grown up in the Pacific Northwest, where you can't help but hear stories about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and what have you, I'd always just kind of, relegated them to a campfire story to, scare the kids, keep them close to the camp and all that stuff. And I just, I guess you could say I was agnostic, if anything. I just didn't really care one way or the other. I didn't read the books or watch the TV shows and things. And I just, went with the flow. But, honestly, my, initiation into the Bigfooting world was rather abrupt. It was certainly something I never expected or planned on. And so back in 1993, I was a combat engineer with the Oregon Army National Guard. And for your listeners who don't know what we do, a lot of it involves using high explosives, and by high I mean a lot. So, and it's fun. I love it. It's probably some of the best years of my 20-plus year career with the military, but it totally ruins the 4th of July. But I digress. So on this particular day, it was April 3rd, a Saturday in 1993, we had been given special permission to access some private timberland and utilize 3 gravel quarries that they had constructed on their rather immense holdings. And we would go in there and, based on the scenarios that were presented to us, use different types of explosives in different ways. And so it was the first gravel pit we worked at was a cutting charges. We were using C4, which gets 6 times hotter than the sun in a fraction of a second and melts steel like butter.
Oof.
The second site was a surface mounted minefield that we had to breach a path through as if we were to get people or vehicles through it, again using C4. The third and last site was a cratering charge, and for that we had been soaking about 250 pounds of ammonium nitrate in diesel fuel.
Wow.
And so right after we ignited the blast at the second site, we moved on to the third one. And the idea of a cratering charge is that you're going to essentially blow a road to bits to where nobody could utilize. Well, obviously the enemy cannot utilize that road.
Oh.
And so it was that we set these fuses. We had about 11 minutes, as I recall. And we got back into our convoy, which consisted of 2 Humvees up front. A Deuce and a half made up the third vehicle, which is a 2.5-ton troop transport. And then the commander's Humvee brought up the rear. I happened to be a passenger in the second Humvee, sitting behind the driver. And it was an incredibly nice day in April in the Coast Range. As you know, it's, a temperate rainforest, but it was a nice, unusually nice day. So I had the window open. I've got my arm hanging out, the side of the Humvee, and because I lived in that area, I had hunted it extensively for deer and elk, and so it's just quite natural for me to look around the countryside looking for any sort of game.
Sure.
And I got a little more than I asked for, because as we rounded this corner, the second rock quarry came into view, and there, standing in the middle, out in the open in this quarry, were these 3 dark figures. And my first reaction was, what the hell are those people doing down there? Because our standard operating procedure was that we had 100% accountability. In other words, we knew where everybody was, and normally everybody was within eyesight, yet here's these 3 individuals standing out there in this quarry. Now, the quarry, mind you, is kind of a concrete gray basalt.
Okay.
So these dark figures, these really black figures, really made for a very good contrast between what they were standing in front of. And I hardly got the thought out of my head, what the hell are those people doing down there, when it just dawned on me as the closer I looked. It's like, those are not people.
Oh, no.
And the reason I say that, they're standing on 2 legs, but these things were huge. They were all 3 built like bodybuilders. They're extremely muscular. Their trapezoids looked like they just extended from the base of their ear straight out to the shoulder, so there was really not much of a neck to be seen. The chest was 4.5 feet across. Massive shoulders, arms, and this is what really got me. The arms hung below their knees.
Oh my God!
The arms were like, I don't know if you remember Stretch Armstrong, that toy you could get where you can stretch it looked like he grabbed his arms and stretched them way longer than they should be, and the legs as well. The legs were disproportionately long for a human, and so of course that got my attention amongst other things. But the one thing that really struck me as well was that, so picture, if you will, 3 individuals standing abreast and watching our convoy come down the ravine across from them. And the one in the middle, being taller than the 2 that flanked it left and right, was probably about 9 feet tall. And I estimated the 2 either side of it to be about 7 feet tall. But again, all of them with this just brawny weightlifter physique. And while that one in the middle, the bigger one, I should say, stood there like a statue, these 2 either side of it, left and right of it, were shifting their weight from one foot to the other, and in the process swaying, rocking back and forth, and there's these long pendulous arms are swaying below their knees.
Right.
And this wasn't a 2 to 3 seconds, something ran in front of my car. I think it was a Bigfoot kind of a sighting. I watched them for a full 25 seconds, which may not seem like a long time, but I would challenge your listeners to look at your watch for 25 seconds.
Yeah.
You'll get about 15 seconds into it and get really bored. But 25 seconds of seeing what I was seeing seemed like a lifetime. And they exhibited that activity the entire time I watched them. So 25 seconds goes by. Our Humvee turns off to the right, and I lost sight of him. And at that point, I just kind of collapsed in my seat, and I'm just, my head's swimming with like 100 different thoughts at once, and you're traumatized, really. I mean, your actual, I don't know the right word, but your intellect, I guess, is traumatized because we are brought up to believe that everything that exists, we learn in school.
Sure.
And this was not in the textbook. And so it was like, okay. One of the things that struck me is I'd been out there hunting deer and elk season after season after season. And it kind of came to my mind that, oh my God, these things have been out there this whole time, and I've never seen them, and I've been out there dozens of times, and it's just like, wow. And the other thing that got to me was I've just seen something scientifically, historically important, and what the hell am I supposed to do about it?
Right.
And who's going to believe me anyway, right? So I wrestled with the same kind of things 9 out of 10 eyewitnesses do. And that's whether to risk the ridicule or somebody questioning your honesty or your sanity, for that matter. And in short order, I kind of came to the point where I was like, Todd, just keep your mouth shut.
Right.
File this away in the whatever file and move on. But that kind of changed when we got down to this staging area where we waited for the explosion, and I instinctively got out of the Humvee. We had still a couple vehicles coming in behind us, so I just kind of jogged back up the road in the direction we were going, or that we came from, and I went as far as I dared. Again, I could talk about 100% integrity. Everybody's got to be accounted for. You didn't dare walk out of sight of the main body.
Sure.
And so I went as far as I dared, maybe 100, 150 feet, yards, I don't know. I went as far as I could, still being able to be seen and accounted for. And I'm up on my tiptoes. I got my hand on my forehead. I'm just trying for whatever to just, all I can to see these things again. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a hill in front of me that prevented me from getting another if I had gone maybe another 100 yards, I might have seen them, but I didn't dare. So while I'm standing there, I heard somebody yell out my voice. I heard somebody go, "Hey, Neiss." And I looked to my right, and here comes Sergeant Martin. I worked with him for years, and he says, "What are you looking at?" And I dropped my hand to my side, and I said, "No, nothing," which was true, technically. He continued to walk toward me. I remember he was smoking on a cigarette, and he came right up to me and looked me straight in the eyes, and he said, "I don't suppose you saw what I saw down at the second blast site." And being the brave person I am, I said, "I don't know, Jeff. What did you see?" And he took a drag off a cigarette. I remember he looked left and right, made sure nobody else was in earshot, and he said, "I saw 3 jet black, hair covered, huge, I don't know, Bigfoot, I guess."
Wow.
And at that, of course, I was kind of relieved to hear him say that. And mind you, I really didn't need the confirmation of what I'd seen. I can't unsee what I saw back then. I can close my eyes right now and see it just as clearly as I did then. But it was kind of cool to know somebody else had at least experienced, what I'd seen.
Hey, thanks everybody for checking out this episode. Please get subscribed, ring the bell so you get notified whenever new episodes come out. And as always, please spread the word. We love more people to find these episodes and to find these channels. Feel free to share them on your social media. That would help out a bunch. But we also encourage you to subscribe to our other, not normal, there's nothing normal about the portal, but our other YouTube channel, and that is youtube.com/paranormal portal. And that's where you'll find all the full-length videos that these pieces are coming from. So also keep an eye out for the podcast. It's available on all the major platforms. So we hope you'll check out all of this. But until next time, take care.